Hello, I'm Laura Kolaskowski. I'm the patient co-principal investigator for iConquerMS, and I'm from the greater Dayton, Ohio area. I'd like to begin by sharing a little bit about myself. I worked at the University of Dayton for 26 years until I was medically retired thanks to my multiple sclerosis. But that was in the English department, and I still struggle with the difference between B cells and T cells. I am that obstacle in doing patient-centered research because I am not a scientist, but I am an MS expert because I live with this disease. I am also brutally honest. Working with me takes extra effort and patience. But on the plus side, I am a dedicated and a willing student. And my hope is you will see the value to include me and other people with multiple sclerosis into the research discussions. And so my story goes like this. You may long for the days way back when, well, actually, it wasn't that long ago, patients were just happy that you were doing research. And during that time, you were doing research has been isolated, tucked away, and inaccessible to us commoners. There are many reasons why patients were afraid to cross the moat. Lack of knowledge, lack of confidence, no shared language, and certainly no shared sense of meaning. But most of all, it wasn't a welcoming environment. We weren't invited to come inside and be part of the process. But something changed just a few years back. And instead of waiting patiently to cross the moat, impatient groups of patients have gathered to storm the castle to take a place in what feels naturally ours, a seat at the research table. I came to collaborate with the Accelerated Cure Project and iConquerMS because I called them. I knocked on that door and stormed their castle, insisting I could help them navigate the application process for PCORI, the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute. And we were successful in our partnership, and iConquerMS was funded. I found my own seat at the table. Perhaps I even brought my own chair. And there are many other patient advocates in the MS world who also want to join the conversation. Now, the role of patients has evolved from patient and consumer to much more. And as I envisioned this metamorphosis of the role of the patient, it looked more and more like that childhood friend, the very hungry caterpillar. Now, we all know how beautiful that caterpillar can become when it is nourished. To evolve into our next step, it seems obvious. Include patients in the early stage of research, and the project goals will be realized sooner, saving time and resources. But a lot goes into working with patients. The people at ACP will tell you that. We have a governance structure of over 40 people, the majority of whom have MS, and having this many people involved in directing iConquerMS is not easy, especially when we have a difference of opinion. And yes, that does happen, but the end results are so satisfying and the outcomes become more meaningful for everyone. We've been at this for over 4 years, and during that time, we've forged relationships within the MS community that allow us to continue building. Those relationships aren't just with people with MS, but also with advocacy organizations like the National MS Society and industry. All along, we have believed if we build it, researchers would come and we will advance MS research. iConquerMS benefits from the success of the Accelerated Cure Project and its reputation within the research community. And now we find ourselves in the position of being able to say iConquerMS and ACP have built this resource that is ready to be used for research work. As patients, we know what we want. Perhaps we don't know quite how to articulate those needs or how to navigate the current way you do research. And that is the challenge for researchers who take the plunge into patient-centered research. Beyond changing how you think, you also have to be willing to allow us to disrupt the orderly process of research as we all know it. As an individual, you may agree with patient-centered research, but you'll also find obstacles within your own institutions. Including patients in research is not simple. There is no easy button to accomplish the task. Much like on the social media dating app Tinder, it may take a lot of looking at lots of possibilities before finding the combination that makes you want to swipe right for a perfect match. We can't be discouraged if the first encounters don't produce the necessary chemistry to make this work. The community of iConquerMS, our governance team, and everyone connected with us through Accelerated Cure Project want the same outcomes as the MS Society strives for each day. It may be overstating the obvious, but first and foremost, we dare to use the word cure. Someday there will be a cure for MS, and we envision being a part of it. This complements the research goals of the National MS Society. And while we wait for that day, we can't lose sight of the impact research can have on the quality of life and the activities of daily living for people with MS and their partners. I always say I only speak for myself. There are millions of faces of MS, especially here in the US, and I want to share a few of the over 300 research questions our participants in iConquerMS have submitted. We recognize these aren't questions formed in the usual researcher language, but they are thoughtful and insightful. And here's a prime example. Of course, there's great interest between diet and MS. We get lots of suggestions to look at diet as a way to manage and stop multiple sclerosis. This is a very smart network that stays up on research. Here's a question on leaky gut, a fairly new research topic area. LDN, low-dose naltrexone, was a topic of interest when I was first diagnosed and continues to be something brought up regularly in our community. When we get the quality of life, what can be done to improve our quality of life? This person suggests we do nothing because we don't ask about it. But Corey has funded a study of multiple sclerosis and modafinal use for fatigue, and for perhaps soon we can answer this person's question. But there are other symptom drugs we might also look at closer. I love this question. I think in English and only speak English, and I can't imagine the mental processing needed to take a cognitive test in a different language than my native tongue. Often the questions about childhood links to multiple sclerosis haunt us. I'm one of 5 sisters. We all lived in the same house, went to the same schools, ate the same food prepared by our mother, yet I'm the one with multiple sclerosis. There are those questions which reveal how much people with MS think about the future. And there's a lot more on our brains than just lesions. This is probably the most challenging question and asks something very basic. How can we find out what drug will work best for each person? As I said initially, I'm a liberal arts person, and having this insider's role in research is exciting and challenging. Personally, it's also worth the effort. We recognize being closely aligned with research is not for every person with MS, but iConquerMS has a large number of people living with multiple sclerosis who are also anxious to be involved with research. And now I'm here asking you to consider how you can take that next step and work with us. I can't help but be excited and hopeful when I consider the possibilities and the power that collaboration offers when we combine experiences and resources and we gather the MS experts in the same space. That would be the person living with MS, the loved ones living with someone who has MS, the dedicated MS researchers and investigators, and the MS experts involved with the National MS Society, the world's largest MS advocacy organization. As I heard the MS Society president eloquently lay out the next strategic plan for the society, I'm encouraged that it addresses and recognizes the importance of greater engagement with people with MS. Celebrating the smaller discoveries along the way on the path to finding a cure should and must include everyone. And I want to thank you for sharing this time to hear more about our efforts as we work to conquer MS. Thank you very much for your attention.